All right. Hello, everybody. Today I'm making a video demonstrating the Arturia Microfreak for breath control. You'll see here I also have the electron digiton. I'm just using it to process the audio from the Microfreak. There are no onboard effects for the Microfreak. So on the digiton I have chorus, delay, reverb, and overdrive, and they all sound pretty good. So I'm just going to use those. But I'll be controlling the Microfreak either directly or via my Berglund Instruments NuRAD, which is a MIDI/CV breath controller. I'm sending Aftertough from my breath sensor. The Microfreak doesn't receive CC02 breath, but it does receive Aftertough. And the pressure line in the mod matrix is for key pressure here from this little touch sensor keyboard, but it also receives that from MIDI channel pressure or MIDI Aftertough. So the first thing I want to do is get a basic template patch for breath control. So I have the initialized patch here. All right. So it's pretty basic. There's not a lot of interest going on there. What I want to do is make a couple tweaks so that I have simple breath control over this patch. I'll save it, and then we'll build a few more patches from that as a starting point. So the first thing I want to do is go into Utilities, Preset. I'm going to change the bend range. Right now, it's a whole octave. I'm going to change it to 2 semitones, which for me is a little easier to use in a musical fashion. All right, the next thing I want to do is zero out the amplitude envelope, so no attack, no decay, max sustain, and then I'm going to add in a tiny bit of attack, so around 15 milliseconds. I want to get something similar on the decay side. So I have my amplitude envelope set the way I want it. Now I'm going to bring cutoff frequency for the low pass all the way down, resonance all the way down. I want to make sure the amount here on this cycling envelope starts here at 0. It really doesn't matter until you do something over here in the mod matrix. All right, so there we have a patch that is ready for breath control. So to get breath control, I'm going to, let me get out of that menu. To get breath control, I want to get my breath sensor controlling this cutoff knob. So I'm going to go through the mod matrix to the pressure row. I go to cutoff, press the button, and I'm not going to quite max it out, but just about. I'll get somewhere around 90. And so now I should have breath control. All right, so we have breath control. I want to save this patch. Okay, great. Now we have a breath control patch starting point saved. One thing that's particularly cool about this keyboard is because we're controlling our breath parameters via Aftertough in the mod matrix, that means we can actually test them straight from the keyboard. So for me, I kind of enjoy programming on this because I can simulate that breath control, and I can do programming here without having to switch back and forth between my controller and the synth. And then when I get it to a place where I want to test it out, I can, in more exhaustive breath controlled fashion, I can pick up the controller and go. But I find that it's quick to use this synth because of that. Okay, so let's play with the parameters on this basic wave to start with. So I want to control that parameter, which is wave, also with breath. So select it. Yeah, that'll work. And then let's see what the timbre sounds like here. Let's do that one in the negative direction. So we're going to go over here to timbre, select it. Okay. And then I'm going to add some resonance here. All right, now I'm going to get my controller and test that out, see how it feels. All right, so that's the totally dry sound. I'm going to go ahead and put some effects in over here after a quick drink of coffee. Okay, so I'm actually going to stop for a moment and point out you can hear a little bit of that MIDI zippering from the breath control. It is pretty subtle. I doubt anyone would notice it on a live gig. In a studio, it might bother you. So I'm just going to get that out of the way and say it is there, but it's subtle. An awfully big tail on that reverb. Okay. All right, so I think we're getting into usable patch area right there. Okay, cool. I'm going to save that one. Okay, while we have it here, I'll also show off the paraphonic mode. First thing you'll notice is when you engage paraphonic, the overall level goes down. And that's because it's just a little bit of gain reduction because you're about to play up to 4 notes at a time. Okay, that's fun. So I'm using the chord rotator function on my NuRAD there, but it's a great demonstration of using 4 notes at a time and moving them around. We can also use a chord builder. Then we can move them around parallel. And here, I think we'll find some limitations in the polyphonic ability. You hear how rough that transition is? I was just slurring, going straight up the scale. It's really rough. And I brought that to the Arturia engineers' attention as well. Fingers crossed and optimistic, and I was just encouraged by how friendly and receptive they were to the conversation. Okay, great. Let's go back to the initialized breath patch there. And let's find something else to do. Okay, I'm going to set my controller down. Little weird behavior there from the keyboard, but probably me not knowing what I'm doing. So I'm going to switch over to the NuRAD. A little portamento in there. All right, we'll save that one also. Okay, great. So let's change to a different oscillator type. All right, so we have the super wave. And so remember, I have set up breath control already, simple breath control, so I can simulate it here with the pad. So right off the bat, this one is a fun one to play, even with no changes. Yeah, great. I'm going to save that one. And now that we've saved that, we can go ahead and mess around a little bit more with the parameters. I'm going to save that. Okay, so there we have, messing around there in the super. So I'm going to go back to the initialized patch, change again. All right, the wavetable oscillator is so great for breath control. There's so much cool stuff here. Okay. All right, so we have 16 wavetables. Okay, and then we can scan our position through that wavetable. So I want to do that with pressure. Just the starting spot. All right, so there is no chorus or no effects on the Microfreak, but a couple of the oscillators do have a chorus over here on the shape. And it's a pretty good sounding chorus. I'm going to turn it down, and I'm going to adjust it with this assign 1 parameter by hitting that, twiddling the knob, which I think is actually default. So we're going to go here to assign 1. I'm going to crank that up. So now we're breath controlling that knob as well. So back to the NuRAD. So I'll take a moment to point out one thing that I think is missing from the Microfreak is a mod wheel routing over here. Now I think in their minds, the developers' minds, they're like, you don't need a mod wheel. You have this whole pressure thing that you can access at any time when you're playing the keyboard, and you can just treat that like your mod wheel. And I'm like, okay, great. Except as a Wind controller player, I'm using pressure for a very different purpose. And if I wanted to put some like mod wheel vibrato on, I don't want that to be tied to my breath. I want to be able to turn it on and off independent of my breathing. So I wish I could use my mod wheel, but I can't. So, every synth has its limitations, right? And we work within the limitations, and that's where we can get creative. So I'm not too worried about it. But... Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and save this one as well. We'll call this BC5. We'll jump into the next thing. So we have the harmonic oscillator. Again, this one has chorus. I'm going to go ahead and leave it off and use the chorus on my digatone. Alright, this is one of the wavetable patch sounds like distinctly digital. Let's go check out, we'll go back to initialized, we'll go car plus strong. There's some cool stuff here. I don't know a lot about car plus strong. Alright, virtual analog. As usual, I tend to just hunt around. And I look for things that I can control with breath that sound interesting. like that one because when I get to the extreme end of the breath curve, it's up an octave. That's cool. I'll save that one. Wave Shaper, another really cool one. I'm not going to dig into each one, but Wave Shaper is a great one because, again, they're really all pretty great because you can modulate all of these parameters with breath. But I do like the Wave Shaper a lot because you get some wave folding sounds in there that are really organic sounding to play. All right, 2-op FM. I'm going to skip it because I'm not good at FM, but it is there. All right, the formant filter, or the formant oscillator is cool. So we're going to change the shape there. And the timbre. And the wave. All right, we'll save that. All right. The modal oscillator is another really cool one. It's really ideal for making things that sound kind of percussive, but it is, again, because you can modulate all of this with breath. And you can modulate every knob on here with breath, I think, except for those 4. But every other thing on here, I believe you can actually modulate. I'm not sure about glide. Possibly. That's pretty cool. Just all of this stuff that's out here on the front panel of the synth you have control of with breath. And for me, that's what I'm always looking for in breath-controlled synths. I want them to have smooth breath control, but I also really want a modulation matrix that will allow me to assign breath to multiple destinations at different scalings and the ability to invert that scaling as well. So I could tell it to turn something down instead of up if I wanted. So here we have 7 possible destinations for breath simultaneously, and they're all scalable independently and and all independently invertible. So it is really fun. You can get a lot of sound out of this synthesizer. All right, so let's take a look here. The noise oscillator, another really cool one. Now we get into the stuff that came out in the last firmware update. So these are all new. They're done in collaboration with Noise Engineering. This one, and this one. They sound cool. I'm going to go to the saw wave. I'm going to turn all these effects off real quickly so we can just hear the dry sound on it. And so right now, we put a little resonance on that. And this is a good sounding analog saw sound. It's fat. A little overdrive on there. Oh, we have some aliasing up there. Not on most of the oscillators. It's I've never, in fact, noticed it before. So we have quite a bit of aliasing on this particular oscillator. Let's go to one of these other sounds we made just to check that. Yeah, there's really none there. So it really is on those noise engineering oscillators, and I think that's probably by design. They're leaving it in there because those oscillators are meant to be noisy. It's in the name. Oop. Don't do that while your finger's on the key. That's great because it has noise built in. I'm going to give all of those parameters a little breath. Not much on the wave, like just a little bit. Quite a bit on the timbre. And then, here we go. A little bit on the noise there, which is under shape. Cool. Okay. Yeah, and then the vocoder I haven't used yet, and I don't have my microphone here with me to demonstrate it. So that'll have to hold off. But anyway, that's some of the stuff you can do with the Microfreak. I hope you've enjoyed this. If there's anything you have questions about, any comments you have, anything you'd like me to try out, please let me know in the comments. And until the next one, take care.